Jake hit the Walmart on Georgesville Road, eyeing the toy aisle until he spotted it. A pregnant Barbie, deluxe edition with a big belly. Flawless face. Big eyes, perfect lips, plastic perfection. He smirked, driving to Hilltop, already picturing Emma's face. She'd never measure up, just a nobody from nowhere. In the parking lot, he grinned, ready to drop his little bomb, imagining the sting when he slammed it down on the table. Being her puppet master, that was his thrill. But as he stepped inside, Emma was already there. Her smirk was ice, her eyes sharper than razors. "Here to say goodbye, huh?" she said like a punch. "Home sweet home, babe," he shot back. "Oh, and I've got a gift. Just for you." He reached into the bag, but Emma didn't flinch. She smiled. "Funny," she said. "I've got a gift too." Jake froze. Just like that, the game flipped. "I'm your host, Mark Yessen, and we're kicking off today's wild story. Let's roll." When little Emma was born in a cramped hospital in Springfield, Ohio, her mother Sarah wept uncontrollably, torn between love and sorrow. Her father, Mike, reeling from the news, disappeared for a week, drowning his grief in bars along the old state highway near the Clark County Fairgrounds. They'd prayed for a healthy daughter, picturing her running through their backyard, but fate had other ideas. Emma arrived with a cleft lip, a small but stark imperfection on her otherwise perfect face. She was beautiful, plump cheeks, bright hazel eyes, but that split lip cast a shadow over their joy. In the hospital, a tired nurse tried to reassure them. "It's fixable," she said, her voice gentle. "Kids get this surgery all the time in places like Columbus. She'll be fine." Sarah nodded, clutching Emma's tiny hand, but her mind raced. Would their insurance even cover a specialist? Mike just stared out the window, silent, grappling with why this happened to their girl. Still, Emma was their everything, and they promised to fight for her. The surgery came when Emma was 1, but it wasn't the smooth fix they'd hoped for. The surgeon at their local hospital juggled too many cases, and the result was rough, a crooked scar that left Emma's upper lip puffy. Sarah sobbed that night, wondering if she should have pushed for a doctor in Cincinnati, but the copays were daunting. Mike lay awake, fists clenched, feeling helpless. Yet Emma grew into a joyful toddler, oblivious to their regrets. Her golden curls danced when she giggled, and her eyes lit up like fireflies. The scar softened over time, blending into her smile, but it never vanished. To Sarah and Mike, Emma was their world. They'd moved to a cozy split level in a Dayton suburb, chasing a fresh start. Sarah sewed Emma sundresses with care, while Mike taught her to pedal a tricycle down their quiet cul-de-sac. They shielded her from judgment, but they couldn't block out the world forever. At back-to-school night at Lincoln Elementary, Sarah overheard a parent whisper about Emma's lip, and her stomach sank. She knew tougher days were coming. Preschool had been kind. Kids were too busy with Play-Doh to care. But first grade was different. At Lincoln Elementary, classmates zeroed in on Emma's scar. "What's wrong with her mouth?" a boy asked at recess, loud enough for others to hear. Kids snickered, tossing out names like Scarface when teachers weren't around. Emma tried to shrug it off, flashing a grin to hide her hurt. But at night, she'd curl up under her quilt, crying softly so Sarah wouldn't worry. She wanted to be strong, but each day felt like a new wound, sharper than the last. Emma's early days at Lincoln Elementary in their Dayton suburb were rough, but she kept her chin up. Kindergartners didn't care much about her scar, too busy with glitter glue and snacks. By second grade, though, the taunts started. "Hey, lip girl!" a kid yelled on the playground, setting off snickers. At lunch, girls scooted away, leaving Emma alone with her PB&J. She'd fake a smile, but after school, she'd hole up in her room, sketching daisies to numb the pain. When Emma was 9, Mike scored a job at a Columbus warehouse. Hoping for a clean slate, they sold their Dayton house and rented a cramped apartment in Hilltop, a working-class area near the Scioto River. Sarah was swamped with Emma's baby brother Ethan, and hospital bills from his delivery kept her up at night. Mike pulled overtime, so neither saw Emma fading. They enrolled her at Riverside Middle School, thinking she'd shine. But Columbus kids were harsh. On day 1, a girl in gym class sneered, "What's wrong with your face?" The old Scarface nickname stuck, now paired with jabs about her small-town Dayton vibe. Emma tried to disappear, hiding in hoodies and speaking only when called on. But the bullying never let up. Boys mocked her lip, and girls shunned her from their Westland Mall hangouts. She acted tough, flashing a grin when kids jeered. At night, though, she'd sob into her pillow quiet so Ethan wouldn't stir. Sarah and Mike, drained from work and diapers, missed the signs. They cheered her A's and relied on her to watch Ethan, unaware of her silent struggle. One April day in 7th grade, the pressure boiled over. At lunch, 4 boys who'd hounded her for months blocked her near the cafeteria. "Smile, Scarface," one taunted, flicking a fry at her. Emma snapped, charging with fists flying, fueled by years of hurt. The boys hit back, targeting her lip. They knew it was her sore spot. A teacher broke it up, but not before Emma's face was battered, her lip bloody and swollen, staining her tea. The boys, with ripped shirts and scratches, grinned, claiming she swung first. The principal called everyone in, citing the school's zero-tolerance fight policy. Mike, livid, cut through the excuses. 4 against 1? And she's the one bleeding? How's that add up? The boys' parents demanded Emma apologize, shouting she'd started it. The teacher chimed in, "Emma, you know fighting's not the answer." But Emma, bruised but unbowed, shook her head. "I'm not sorry," she said, her voice firm despite shaky hands. She refused to return to Riverside, dreading even the spring talent show. Mike saw the fire in her eyes and knew they couldn't force her back. He started looking for another school, determined to protect his girl. Mike hunted for a better school and found Oakwood Academy, a public charter in Columbus's North End. Mid-7th grade, Emma started fresh, her stomach knotted with nerves. Maybe it was the tight-knit vibe, or kids who didn't know her old scars, literal or not. But Oakwood was kinder. No one whispered Scarface or smirked at her lip. Emma relaxed, diving into school. She aced geometry and joined the art club, her sunflower sketches earning a spot in the hallway display. She befriended Mia and Jess, who flunked quizzes but adored her for explaining equations and sneaking gummy bears at lunch. By 8th grade, Emma felt lighter. Her curls bounced and her hazel eyes glowed when she laughed by the Olentangy River, steps from Grater's ice cream. Her scar, though still there, faded slightly and kids barely noticed. She'd catch her reflection in a classroom window, almost liking what she saw. But spring brought a new pang. At homecoming dances, Mia and Jess swapped flirty texts with boys, giggling over crushes. Emma stood by the gym's bleachers, her heart sinking as couples swayed to slow songs. No boy glanced her way, not once. She'd linger, hoping for a shy smile, but left alone. Emma tried to play it off. She'd cheer loudest at pep rallies, design posters for the drama club, and crack jokes that had Jess snorting soda. Teachers praised her drive. Mia leaned on her for advice. But walking home past Hilltop's corner stores, her loneliness crept in. Boys fist-bumped her or borrowed her notes, but none saw her as more than a pal. Her scar, she thought, marked her as unlovable. At night she'd scroll TikTok, watching influencers with perfect smiles, her finger tracing her lip as doubts piled up. Sarah and Mike, stretched thin, missed the signs. Sarah's weekend shifts at Target and Mike's car repair bills kept them distracted, with Ethan's tantrums filling any spare moment. They figured Emma's quiet spells were just teen angst. Emma stayed silent. She hated worrying them. Instead, she wore a bold grin hiding her ache. At graduation, she gripped her diploma, proud but hollow. She enrolled at Columbus State Community College for graphic design, hoping new faces might see her differently. College, though, echoed high school. Classmates were cool, but romance skipped her. No one slid flirty DMs her way or asked her to grab coffee at the campus cafe. Mia and Jess sent heart eyes emojis about new boyfriends while Emma stayed solo. One day Mia asked, "You got a crush yet?" Emma laughed. "Nah, too busy for that." Her voice light but her chest tight. She threw herself into assignments, her posters earning A's, but late at night she'd study her reflection, wondering if her scar meant she'd always walk alone. After community college, Emma carved out a steady life in Columbus. Her graphic design dreams faded when she snagged an accounting job at a firm near the short north, its murals brightening her commute. At 25, she lived alone in the Hilltop apartment her parents left after moving to Florida for Mike's COPD treatment. Sarah's weekly calls came like clockwork, but Emma sidestepped dating questions, forcing a laugh to mask her loneliness. On Instagram, Mia and Jess flaunted engagement rings and ultrasound pics, their lives full of bachelorette parties and baby showers. Emma swiped past, her chest tight. She'd never even been asked out. She brushed it off, filling her days with spreadsheets and her nights with Stranger Things marathons. But a longing for a family gnawed at her. She'd pause in Target's baby section, picturing a high chair in her kitchen, but single motherhood, or a desperate hookup, felt wrong. Her scar, though less stark, haunted her. No guy swiped right when she tried Bumble once, deleting it after a week of silence. In the office bathroom, she'd study her reflection, convinced her lip kept love at bay. At work, Emma was a ghost. Dependable, quiet, unnoticed. Tax season kept her late, hunched over QuickBooks, while co-workers traded stories of PTA meetings and Little League. One lunch, Lisa beamed over her daughter's ballet recital, flashing a photo of a twirling 6-year-old. "She's my everything," Lisa said. Emma smiled, but her throat closed up. Muttering an excuse, she ducked to the restroom, tears spilling as she gripped the sink. She dreamed of a kid to hug goodnight, but feared it'd never happen. She rinsed her face, faking calm before returning. Months later, Ethan, now 20 and hustling in Chicago, came home for a visit. He pitched a college friends reunion at Emma's place. "Just a few guys," he said. Emma, craving his goofy grin, said yes. It beat another solo night. She went all out. Sliders, guac, peanut butter brownies baked fresh. 7 guys filled her living room, laughing over beers and old Ohio State stories. Emma played host, topping off chip bowls, feeling out of place, but warmed by Ethan's presence. Jake, Ethan's loud buddy from college, stole the spotlight. Known for juggling girlfriends, he had a grin that disarmed. That night, he zoned in on Emma. "You're killing it with these brownies, girl," he said, winking as he slid her a soda. Her cheeks burned. Guys didn't flirt with her. The others ribbed him, but Jake kept on, asking about her job, leaning close. Ethan frowned. In the kitchen, he cornered her. Jake's trouble," he hissed. "He's just messing with you." Emma's heart sank, but she nodded. "I get it, Ethan, but it feels good to be seen, even if it's fake." Emma's Hilltop apartment hummed during the reunion, beer bottles clinking as college buddies laughed. Jake, the group's smooth talker, zeroed in on her. "These sliders are legit, Emma," he said, flashing a grin that made her stomach flip. She smiled, flustered. Guys like him didn't notice her. He stuck close, asking about her Spotify playlists, tossing out corny puns. Ethan's eyes narrowed. When Emma grabbed more napkins in the kitchen, he followed. Jake's bad news," he hissed. "He's got a trail of exes, don't fall for it." Emma's chest tightened, but she waved him off. "I'm not dumb, Ethan. It's just nice to feel something." Jake threw everyone a curveball. He didn't push that night, just thanked her and bounced with a wink. Days later, he showed up with a wilted gas station bouquet, daisies, dirt, and all. "Movie night?" he asked, leaning on her doorframe. Emma, shocked, nodded. They caught a superhero flick at Easton's AMC, then split a shake at Nancy's home cooking. Jake kept it chill, never rushing, like he had a plan. Soon they strolled Schiller Park, swapping stories under old oaks. Emma let her walls down, feeling seen for the first time in years. Then, over greasy tacos at a high-street food truck, Jake slid a pawnshop ring toward her. "Marry me, Emma. You're my kind of forever," he said, eyes locked on hers. Her heart raced, but doubt flickered. Jake, the guy who'd charmed half of Columbus, picking her. Ethan was stunned when she called him. He sped from Chicago, grilling Jake at a dive bar. "My sister's not your next hookup," he snapped. Jake leaned back. "I'm done playing, man. Emma's the real deal." Ethan scowled but let it go. The wedding was simple, at a German village community center. Emma shone in a thrift store dress, curls loose under a veil. Ethan's toast had bite. "Jake, mess this up and I'm coming for you." Guests chuckled, but he meant it. The DJ spun Sweet Caroline, and as folks clamored for a kiss, Emma blushed. Public stuff wasn't her vibe. Jake brushed her cheek, nothing more. She overheard co-workers by the cake whispering, "Even her." Wow. It stung, but Emma straightened up. "They're just jealous," she thought. "I've got the ring." But that night, in a cheap motel off I-70, the magic fizzled. Jake didn't kiss her, didn't hold her, just turned over and snored. Emma stared at the popcorn ceiling, a knot in her gut. Was this it? She told herself he was wiped from the day, the open bar, the stress. But at work, she'd caught colleagues betting her engagement wouldn't last, and now those doubts echoed louder. Still, she clung to hope, tucking away the hurt, believing love would grow if she just tried harder. Emma poured her heart into her marriage, but Jake made it feel like a chore. Their third-floor walk-up off Cleveland Avenue was no love nest, just a backdrop for silence. Nights were cold, blinds drawn tight. "Keeps it chill," Jake mumbled, avoiding her gaze. Emma tried sparking something, his favorite meatloaf, a spotless kitchen, but got nothing. One evening, as she balanced their checkbook, Jake sneered over his Miller Lite. "Be glad I'm here, Em. Who'd want you otherwise?" The words sliced, and Emma shrank, wondering if her scar really made her unlovable. 6 months later, Jake got canned from his warehouse job. Rent loomed, plus credit card bills from his bar tabs, and her Civic's transmission repair. Ethan's student loans, co-signed years ago, nagged too. Emma didn't blink. She kept her accounting job, crunching numbers on ADP, and added night shifts cleaning offices near High Street, passing Buckeye murals with weary eyes. Jake skimmed job boards, whining, "These gigs suck," before swiping through his phone. Her co-workers noticed her slumped shoulders, muttering she deserved better, but Emma brushed it off, dreaming of a baby to make it all worth it. Jake, itching for distraction, started crashing at a friend's garage in Franklinton, Ethan's old storage spot. He'd fix junk, rusted tools, a busted mower, but mostly drank Coors with a crew under a tarp they'd strung up. They'd laugh, slapping cards on a wobbly table. Emma, desperate, worked a miracle at her cleaning gig, landing Jake a job driving her firm's owner around in a shiny Ford Explorer. Jake scoffed, I ain't no taxi, but took it for the paycheck and the car's flex. That job was a leash too long. Jake's schedule was fluid, and he'd ghost for hours, muttering about errands. Emma caught whiffs of trouble, new aftershave, late nights, but stayed quiet. His old dig, "Nobody else wants you," echoed in her head. One day he bragged about buying flowers for his boss's gala, but a co-worker spilled he'd been flirting hard at Kroger's floral counter, all dimples and charm. Jake's Instagram stories, vague posts about hustling, only fueled her dread. At the garage, he boasted to his buddies, their cheers egging him on. Emma knew deep down he was cheating. She'd see him in her mind, leaning close to some cashier, using the smile he'd once flashed her. Her cleaning shifts left her bone-tired, but fear kept her mute. If she called him out, he might bolt, leaving her alone with her scar and an empty apartment. "He's just stressed," she'd whisper, scrubbing their sink. So she kept cooking, kept working, kept hoping he'd turn back into the guy who'd proposed. But as she vacuumed offices, the truth settled heavier. She was holding a marriage together alone, and Jake was already half gone. Jake's driver job handed him a leash he stretched to the limit. When his boss announced a month-long conference, Jake saw his shot. He told Emma it was a work trip to Cleveland, some big client hustle. Worn out from her accounting gig and office cleaning, she packed him a turkey sandwich, too beat to dig deeper. But Jake wasn't leaving Columbus. He'd been texting Kayla, a barista from the Starbucks by Nationwide Arena, spinning lies about being a deal-maker with deep pockets. She swallowed it whole, dreaming of a life past coffee steam. He booked a week at a Hocking Hills cabin, old man's cave, a short hike away, hot tub steaming out back. Perfect for him and Kayla. Jake called it a quick getaway, hyping up Super Bowl suites and Coachella trips once his business popped off. Kayla, 22 and wide-eyed, saw beaches, not Columbus pavement. He blew his last paycheck, ignoring their maxed Venmo. Emma wouldn't catch the cabin stuff charge. They roamed trails and soaked, Jake playing tycoon while her texts went unread. Back in town, he rolled up to the Franklinton garage, his buddies lounging under a tarp with IPAs. "Kayla's a riot," Jake bragged, mocking her giggle. "Thinks I'm funding her Miami vibe." He'd posted a Snapchat, cabin glow, captioned boss moves and to rub it in. The guys grinned, but the mood soured. "What about Emma?" one asked, cracking a peanut shell. "She's killing herself with 2 jobs. Jake snorted, kicking gravel. "Emma? Lucky I stick around. Nobody's chasing that busted lip." The dig hit wrong. Pete, always up for a laugh, glared. "That's messed up, dude. Emma's gold. Cooks, cleans, pays your bills. Why'd you even marry her?" "The apartment." Jake smirked, shameless. "Yup. Free rent, free maid. What's not to love?" The air thickened, humid and tense. Pete leaned in. "She's way too good for you, man. Doesn't deserve this garbage." Nods rippled through the crew, beers paused mid-sip. Jake shrugged, ticked at the vibe shift. His boys were turning soft. Before heading home, he hit the Georgesville Road Walmart. A pregnant Barbie in the toy aisle stopped him. Flawless face, big belly, glossy smile. A cruel spark lit. He grabbed it, picturing Emma's face when he'd drop it on her. "Even this doll's got a kid. Unlike your sorry ass," he'd hint, twisting her childless ache. Driving back, the doll sat shotgun, his grin wide. Emma was still scrubbing floors, blind to it. He saw her scar twitch, her eyes well up as he'd shove it in her face. To Jake it was a game, keeping her down while he strutted. He parked, itching to deliver his gift and watch her break, relishing the power over her scarred, quiet heart. Jake swaggered to their Hilltop apartment, the neon skyline chili sign glowing across the street. The pregnant Barbie tucked under his arm, ready to stab at Emma's core. He fumbled it out of the bag, smirking. "Got a little something for you," he said, sliding it across the table. But Emma stood firm in the doorway, arms crossed, her face steel. No flinch, just a smirk that rocked him. "How was your work trip, hotshot?" she asked, her voice a razor. Jake gripped the doll tighter, thrown. "What? I'm home, She stepped closer. "Not anymore. Divorce papers are filed. No lawyer, just me at Franklin County. Catch you in court." She slapped an envelope into his hand, eyes burning. He stumbled over words. "Divorce, come on." She sliced through. "Oh, Kayla hit up work. Thought you owned the place." Her laugh cut deep. "Greg and I set her straight. You're just a driver, or were." Greg, her boss, loomed from the kitchen, steady as rock. "You're toast, Jake," he said. "Screwed with the company GPS too much. Grab your last check tomorrow. Don't show your face here." Jake's head reeled, fired, kicked out. He tried his puppy dog play, arms open. "Babe, we can fix this," Emma dodged, sneering. "Enjoy your Barbie, Jake. Pete was right. You're trash." Greg stood tall. "Ethan rolls in tomorrow," he said. "Till then she's with me. Drop those Franklinton garage keys." Jake's hands shook as he fished them out, tossing them to Emma. She caught them, slammed the door, leaving him in the dim hall, his twisted gift a dud. No job, no home, zilch. Desperate, he sped to Kayla's spot near OSU. Maybe she'd bite. She cracked the door, eyes ice. "You?" she spat. "Thought you were a baller. My friend's TikTok showed your fake deals. Broke driver, lousy liar." Her words torched his pride. "Scram!" The door banged shut, the doll mocking him from the passenger seat. Back inside, Emma sat with Greg, sipping chamomile tea, her tension melting. "I've always seen you, Emma," Greg said, soft but sure. "Your grit, your smile, that scar's part of what makes you glow. Your laugh at last year's staff retreat lit up everything." Emma's breath hitched. Greg, calm and kind, had watched her slog through Jake's mess. "Couldn't say it then," he added. "You were married. But I've loved you forever." Her eyes watered. "You think I'm enough?" she whispered. He nodded. "More than enough." They talked past midnight, the divorce papers her escape hatch. In 19 days, Franklin County would cut her free. Greg's hand brushed hers, a quiet promise to wait. For once, Emma felt hope, not just freedom, but love that didn't balk at her scar. She wasn't unseen anymore. The future, once bleak, shimmered with light she'd never dared chase. Emma leaned against her Hilltop kitchen counter, the divorce papers a quiet vow of freedom. Greg's words from last night echoed. He'd called her scar a mark of beauty, her resilience a light. Over diner coffee, poured from her old pot, she tested the idea that someone like him could mean it. "Emma, I've seen you forever," Greg said, his voice calm but sure. "You kept going, no matter how Jake tore you down. I stayed quiet, you were his wife, but I never stopped caring." Greg had clocked Jake's games early. At the firm's Christmas party, Jake had leaned too close to a temp, smirking while Emma rearranged dessert trays, her eyes fixed on the table. Greg's jaw clenched, but he held back. Another day, he'd caught Jake on Slack, firing off flirty DMs to some bartender, right as Emma vacuumed the office lobby. Greg had turned away, hating Jake's gall, but knowing it wasn't his fight. Emma, with her steady hands and warm hazel eyes, deserved a man who saw her, not a user chasing thrills. He couldn't help watching her, though. One Saturday at a short North cafe, Emma's laugh, full, unguarded, had stopped him mid-sip, her curls catching the light. Her scar, faded now, was just a detail like a brushstroke on canvas. At work, he'd linger, catching her before she left her cleaning shift. Her tax season reports were pristine, even when she looked drained. He'd left post-its. "Killed it today," but her ring kept him at bay, his feelings locked up tight. Now, with Jake out, Greg let it spill. "You're everything, Emma," he said, eyes steady. "Your strength, your kindness. I've loved you through it all." She touched her lip, hesitant. "This doesn't bother you?" Greg smiled. "It's you. I love every piece." Her breath hitched. Jake's jabs had buried her worth, but Greg's gaze held only truth. She thought of the office, muting the co-worker group chat to dodge their "you okay" texts. Lisa had prodded once, sensing cracks, but Emma stonewalled, too stubborn to vent. Greg never pushed. He'd just been there, leaving notes, praising her work, like when she'd stayed late to train a frazzled intern. Now his hand brushed hers, warm, grounding. "What do you want from this?" she asked softly, testing the waters. "You," he said simply. "When you're free, I'm here. For good." 19 days until court would cut her loose. The future loomed, daunting with health insurance gaps and an empty savings account, but Greg's quiet certainty felt like a shield. She'd hidden for years, but his words cracked her open, not just to him but to herself. She wasn't invisible, not broken. For the first time, Emma let herself dream of a life where she was enough, scar and all, with someone who'd never make her beg for love. Morning light spilled into Emma's Hilltop apartment, catching the community garden across the street. She and Greg had talked past midnight, their mugs cold, but their words alive. 19 days until her divorce hearing at Franklin County Courthouse, and Jake's shadow was fading. Greg's vow he loved her, scar and all, felt like a lifeline. She'd known him as her boss, the guy who signed her checks, but now he was her anchor, seeing her when she'd felt erased. Over fresh coffee, she pictured a life not just survived, but cherished. Greg had held back for years. At last year's Memorial Day picnic, Jake had charmed a vendor while Emma grilled hot dogs, her jaw tight. Greg had itched to call him out, but stayed quiet. Her ring tied his hands. He'd seen her shine instead, fixing a co-worker's botched expense report with a grin, or joking about burnt burgers with clients. Her scar didn't dim her. It drew her story. At work, he'd lingered, catching her before she locked up, her spreadsheets sharp despite double shifts. He'd loved her silently, but with Jake gone, he was all in. Emma tested the ground. "You're really sure?" she asked, stirring her coffee. Greg smiled. "Since you caught my typo on that budget 5 years ago." She laughed. Real, not forced, unlike with Jake. The divorce loomed, with lawyer fees eating her savings, and no health plan post-Jake. But Greg's steadiness eased her. "Your decaf's a crime," she teased, nudging him. He chuckled, hand brushing hers. The future wasn't a trap. It was a door. Ethan's key rattled, and he stepped in, eyes puffy from the Chicago drive. Greg's 2 a.m. call had pulled him here, detailing Jake's lies. In the living room, he stopped short. Emma nestled against Greg on the couch, his arm around her like a vow. Ethan's throat caught. This wasn't just her boss. This was the man who'd sworn to protect her. Emma's calm, her soft smile said it all. She was home. Ethan remembered 8th grade, shoving a kid who'd mocked her lip, her tears drying as he hugged her. She didn't need that now. She'd fought her own war. He slipped to the kitchen, cracking eggs for breakfast, leaving them to their quiet. Ethan had been her shield, but Greg was her strength. Jake, though. Ethan's fist clenched. He'd seen Jake's latest Instagram story, him at a dive bar off Parsons, still playing king. At the wedding, Ethan had warned him, "Break her heart, and you're mine." Jake's debt was due. He grabbed his jacket, ready to settle it, but his chest stayed warm as he passed Donato's Pizza on his way out. Emma had found her light, with a man who'd love her true, scar, soul, and all, and for Ethan, that was victory enough.